Hey guys, welcome to a new season here on Canada Puck, your weekly recap of what's going on in the world of sports, specifically talking about hockey, and specifically Canada, hence the name. I'm your co-host, and I remembered my intro. That was pretty exciting, because it's been a while since we've done this, guys. Whew! Mick, you can find me on Twitter at ProfitMick, and I'm joined every episode by my very talented, very beautiful, very lit co-host,
Grant, on Twitter at Fourth Line Sports. Can't beat an introduction like that. My confidence is normally hovering around a 9-10, but I gotta say, you boosted me past the 10 threshold with that intro. So thank you.
I almost blanked. I was like, almost like we have to start again. I don't know how to start the show, but it came to me. So it's just like second nature. It's great stuff. Good stuff. So, true to our roots, I think last time we spoke was somewhere before the Stanley Cup Finals. And in true Canada Puck fashion, we didn't finish. So, welcome. Welcome to our start. We start fresh. We won't finish. That's a guarantee. We will not talk about the Stanley Cup Finals this upcoming year. So, something to look forward to.
The Canada Puck Podcast guarantee. I feel like the cliffhanger is an overlooked. At the end of every good season, and I'm speaking like TV series, you're left on a cliffhanger. This is bringing people back, Mick. So I don't know what, maybe you can discount all these guys have no finish, but you can't discount people coming back to see exactly where we picked up or how we pick up the pieces to another catastrophic ending.
We literally have no finish, but there's lots of Swedish on the podcast.
Hey-o.
All right.
There's got to be a hockey player analogy in there too. Maybe we're like the Sam Gagne's or the Jujhar Khaira's of the hockey podcast.
We do all the little stuff, but we just don't have that finishing touch. There you go. Yeah. There you go. So this is our preseason show. Kind of snuck up on us. So this is going to be kind of hopefully your primer, hopefully our primer to get going on the season. We did some gambling advice. There was some fantasy advice. I think we got pretty good on the fantasy end. Gambling wise, I think I sucked, and then I did one cool thing. And I didn't suck. I don't remember exactly. Couldn't tell you how that went. We played some games. We had some funs. We kept up to date. And
there's always fun. And it was, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was something along the lines of you hit this 3-game. Was it a 3-game parlay?
For 7-1, and I had put $100 on it, and I brought back to 0. I don't know, something.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, it was pretty epic. If you were following along, it would have been not really fun to talk about now, but it was fun at the moment.
Yeah, but we don't live in the past. We live in the here and now.
Right now. This is where we live, so. Cool. Yeah, so what we're going to do today is we've got some preseason power rankings. Once upon a time, we ranked the entire league, and we went through every single team. We're not that well organized, so we're sticking just with Canada. That worked for us last year. That's what we're doing this year. A little bit of gambling. I got a fun game. So no fantasy today, but other than that, let's give me a show. Get into it. I think I like the format that we were kind of rolling with last year, so let's roll with that. Headlines. Let's start with headlines / Canadian team power rankings. I sent you my rankings, so why don't you do the math behind the scenes with the stats and the data, and you tell me who's at the bottom of our power rankings. Who's the worst teams? Let's start talking about poop and work our way to something exciting.
So very rarely, I shouldn't say very rarely, but when Mick and I agree on something, that's generally a sign that the complete opposite is going to happen. Mm-hmm. And that is a great omen for Calgary Flames and Calgary Flames fans, because we both have them ranked last in our preseason power rankings. I know, my rationale is sound. I'm comfortable with how I arrived at my conclusion. Mick, what led you to put the Calgary Flames at the bottom of your list?
So based on kind of what we've been seeing, what we have seen in other sports, is I think there's far too much time spent trying to dissect teams before anything happens, right? We don't really have a sample size for this year. So it wasn't anything I didn't come at it with from an analytic point of view. I kind of came from how much do I care, or a excitement level? Do I want to talk about this team, right? So if you think about what the Flames did last year, they kind of petered out. They didn't really show any flashes. There wasn't that, high-end talent that was kind of exciting. And then I've got their off-season moves here as you can kind of scroll through the list. nothing really tips the needle, and essentially that's kind of what I was going for. Is they seem very boring. They didn't really do anything to make themselves more exciting. I don't think the additions of, say, Blake Coleman or Trevor Lewis or Nikita Zadorov do anything for them, do anything for me. That's why they're bottom of my list. They're probably, hopefully they have the first round pick this year, because they probably get a high draft pick. That's my ranking. That's my logic. So, Grant, why don't you come with a little bit more, less emotion and more analytics? Why do the Flames suck?
So the Flames suck for a number of reasons. However, the biggest reason is, and like if we look at things from like a quantitative perspective, the Flames actually aren't that bad. They're actually pretty good. And that is, they finished last year with an expected goals for above, I think it was like 53.8%. However, their downfall has been goaltending, and they are handcuffed to Jacob Markstrom for 5 more years, is it? And they overpaid him, and they got absolutely nothing from him. So they finished 20th in save percentage of 5-on-5, and they finished worse across all strengths, and that is, I think they finished 23rd with a save percentage below 90. So when we consider, like, all right, this team, their Achilles heel for many years has been their special teams, and the old saying goes, your goaltender has to be your best penalty killer. Guess what? Jacob Markstrom isn't. He is actually a detriment to this team. So now, and then David Rittich wasn't the guy that they needed him to be. I think they actually even moved on from him this offseason. So basically, Jacob Markstrom is going to get the lion's share of work, and I don't know how he's going to improve off of last year when we consider that we're probably going to get similar power plays or penalty kill metrics or systems from the Flames. So for me, it's all going to fall apart. There was already rumbling. Sean Monahan, Johnny Gaudreau weren't happy. I don't know how they're going to make them happier in this system or how things are going to change. And it just feels like this is going to be a year that they all fall apart. There's probably there's an analogy in there for kind of like Milan Lucic. Like Milan Lucic is basically where I don't know. You're better with words. Can you explain the metaphor of? I know you're thinking like me right now. Milan Lucic is basically the metaphor for the Flames' downfall. So, however long as Milan Lucic trends downward, so do the Flames.
Yeah, that's probably a pretty good analogy. Like, I think Milan Lucic, say in a Boston or a LA, he seems like a high quality player. You want to bring him to the province of Alberta. But once he gets here, he just kind of sucks, and the stink just kind of doesn't go away. Like, he just sticks around. Like, even if you trade him, he stays in the province. You know, he's just a couple hours south. He's still there. And I think that's kind of the Flames, is they're just going to be there. They're not really going to do anything. They're just going to have this stink about them all season. And yeah, like you said, there is some dysfunction. The Gaudreaus, the Monahans, the backbone of the organization, right? We saw the departure of Giordano this summer. I think they're in a transition year. Easily transition. Has to be a transition year. I don't see the talent on this team, as I'm sitting on Cap Friendly right now, to say that they're going to do anything but suck. They're going to upset some teams. They're going to win a couple games against the Oilers, right? They're going to give McDavid a hard time one or two games. That's my predictions for the season. Doesn't really do much. Maybe if they make some cool trades, might, get me excited. But right now, Flames, you don't excite me. You bore me. And that's pretty sad, because I imagine the team that's next on the list, they suck. And you suck worse than them. So, it's awful.
I wrote about this earlier. Like, when you compare yourself to the Ottawa Senators, like, and this was an argument I made for how bad the Vancouver Canucks were last season. When you're worse than the Ottawa Senators, like, you're kind of a shitty team. Mm-hmm. But I am happy to report, after calculating, doing some quick math here, our bottom 3 teams identical. So we are going straight from the Flames to
the Ottawa Senators.
The Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, I had it keyed up already, so that's great. Good job. Good job, me. As you see, I have their off-season moves. They gave Michael Del Zotto a 2-year deal. No, you don't want that. No, not at this point. They looked like they locked up Drake Batherson. That's pretty exciting. Do anything for you? You like Drake Batherson?
I actually did like Drake Batherson. For loyal listeners, they will remember mid-season how I was preaching about the effectiveness of Drake Batherson. Mm-hmm. So I do kind of like that. However, Not enough to offset whatever else is going on with this franchise.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at here. I'm just kind of, as you see on the screen, there was some trades. Maybe I'm not familiar with all the trades that happened. Nothing is really changing the needle. Maybe a cap friendly and go from there. Why did I rank them as low as I did? From an entertainment point of view, I do think the Senators are entertaining. They're way more frisky. The rebuild, I think, is going incredibly well, but we have to be realistic at some point and understand that they're still in a rebuild. The pieces they brought in, great. They look like they could be kind of high quality pieces at some point, but this is definitely not a rushed product. This is maybe 2-3 years away from being like a playoff contending team if they kind of take their time and don't rush it. So I think we're just kind of at that point, and realistically, you're going to have fun. They're going to have some upsets. They're going to be frisky at times, right? They're going to have some players have some kind of cool stories throughout the year, like Brady Tkachuk's going to do something, assuming he signs. We're going to see the Tim Stroitzels of the world kind of show flashes of brilliance, but it's just going to be that consistency, grow together as a team, and we'll kind of see how that goes. And if they're not mismanaged, you might have something there. And one thing we know about the Ottawa Senators is they're never mismanaged. So,
that was a perfect opportunity for a double negative. They are never not mismanaged is probably the best way to put it. But you basically touched on everything. This thing, the X factor for this organization is Brady Tkachuk, and that is, we saw how good this kid could be last year. And not only that, but I hate to talk about intangibles because I like to be able to quantify things, but like that kid, even last year when Tim Stützle, was it last year? I think it was last year when Stützle had that hat trick, and then he organized a bunch of kids to come throw hats in his backyard. Like, that's kind of stuff that builds a team, and not having him signed when the season starts in 4 days doesn't make sense. 3 days even? It doesn't make sense to me. Like, this is somebody who should have been locked up by now, and he's really the engine that drives the Senators' kind of piss-poor offense. They finished last year with basically negative metrics across the board. They did show flashes of brilliance, and they did kind of pick up towards the end of the season. Matt Murray, I think, is a big question mark for them, and I'm not sold on him as a starter, and I think that hurts them, especially going back to the Atlantic Division, where now, guess what? You have to stop, the Steven Stamkos and Kucherovs and Alex Ovechkins of the world. Like, this isn't going to be, or even Austin Matthews, for a more practical example. Like, there's not a team that they're going to be better than, but they will win games. And so for me, it was really a coin flip between Ottawa and Calgary, but I like that Ottawa is trending upwards and Calgary is trending downwards, and that's kind of how I had the Senators ranked ahead of the Flames.
Perfect. And like I said, I kind of did, like, in terms of, like, well, I don't want to be too vulgar, but like fucks given, right? Like, the Flames, I don't care. They're doing nothing for me. The Senators, like I said, they're somewhat frisky, and at some point they're going to catch my attention, and I'll be like, wow, that was a great little game, right? Or, like in fantasy, if you're not paying attention, someone's going to sneak up on you, and Drake Batherson is going to be leading the league for, in like week 4 or something. After 4 weeks, you're like, he has 25 points already? Like, that's insane, right? So a little bit frisky. They're kind of interesting to watch. So that's why they ended up 6th on my list. So
I love the adjectives that you use to describe them. Frisky and sneaky. I like that. That's Senators hockey. Frisky, sneaky hockey.
Senators hockey. That's what we do. Sneaky and frisky.
Tagline for an adult entertainment movie.
Nice.
But anyway.
So if I remember correctly, thinking about my list, that means the Vancouver Canucks are next.
They are absolutely next. We both had them ranked 5th heading into the the regular season. I like what Vancouver did this offseason, and I think that you can point to one trade in particular where they got rid of Louis Eriksson and, who are the other? Antoine Roussel, and who was the other guy? That was another terrible contract.
I will pull it up in a second. There's a bunch of free agent signings here that just on the list. So they got Connor Garland, I believe they pulled in. Looks like they got Travis Hamonic, Nick Patan.
But they got Oliver Ekman-Larsson with this deal. So they basically traded away those 3 bad contracts for Connor Garland and Oliver Ekman-Larsson. And I think that, along with moving on from Braden Holtby, and if you remember, if we could do our if we had a good production value, we would take you back to what I said last year, and that is the Vancouver Canucks gave up too many high danger chances for Holtby to be successful. Side note, I think Holtby's going to do fine in Dallas because he's kind of tailor-made for that system.
Yeah.
However, what we saw from, Thatcher Demko at the end of last season, kind of emerging as the star goaltender, is exactly what they need. They need him. They need another year of growth from him. And their offensive pieces, their back-end pieces, everything kind of unit as a whole, I think that we're going to see good progress from Vancouver this season. I don't think it's enough to get them in the playoffs. I think, and like, honestly, if you want to, I scratched them out. I initially had them 4th, but I ended up dropping them to 5th because I think they're just it's going to be a good development year, but I think they're going to be short of the playoffs because there's 4 teams that are better than them in their division.
Oh, 100%. That was kind of my thinking too. Is like I do agree. I think the Garlands, the Ekman Larsons, you have the Petterssons. I mean, he did miss a whole season with injury, so that's always kind of one of those question marks, right? Like, is he going to be back in full swing? It's going to be a great development year, right? Similar, they're probably a little bit further along than the Senators in terms of kind of rebuilding. If you kind of look at all the pieces, right? Like kind of like maybe the Demkos and Nets. They probably are managed a little bit better, not much better. Like they like to give out dumb contracts for some reason, whereas the Senators give out no contracts. So it's kind of a what do you like? What are you going with? But that's the reason. Yeah, I just don't think they have the power up front, right? Like if you look at kind of their roster, their lines, their projected lines, I just don't think they're gonna be able to win those games down the like when it matters, right? So when they're in the playoff race, I think they're going to be kind of the guys that are stumbling and tripping on themselves rather than overachieving. So
yeah, they did their overachieving season before last, and that is when they had that good postseason run. They kind of came back down to earth, kind of as things balance out. But they will, like I said, I expect progression from them. Maybe they sneak in. I don't think they're as sneaky as the Senators are, though. So, no. Good year of development, but outside looking in. That's my prediction.
Yeah, they did end up signing Quinn Hughes to about $7.8 million for a $6 million deal. I thought that was okay. I mean, that's a lot for a 21-year-old that's had one pretty good season and then had a couple moments, right? Him and Ekman Larsson are signed actually for the next 6 years, so that's exciting. And then that Elias Pettersson deal, $7 million, 3 years. Kind of feel like that might come back to bite him in the butt. Like how much is that guy going to want in 3 years?
Yeah, if he keeps on the pace, we could be talking. And of course, let's assume that the cap is going up in 3 years, unless they're still digging themselves out of this COVID hole they built. But realistically, that guy is going to eat up like a let's say, what does Connor McDavid, 12% of 80? Yeah, or sorry, 12 million of 80. I bet you he's probably going to be in the probably $12 million range, at least, if he continues.
Yeah, absolutely insane. So, I mean, Canucks fans, be joyous now. Hopefully something clicks maybe in the next little while, but you also don't want things to click too much because then you can't have nice things. So, yeah. All right, but enough with these.
Don't over-click, Canucks.
Yeah.
We should, you know what? We should be in marketing. We could come up with all the taglines for the Canadian teams. Sneaky and frisky, don't over-click. Like, I feel like we're onto something here.
We definitely are. And I mean, now, bottom 3, I knew that off the top of my head. Now things are going to be a little bit different. So now I don't know which tab to open next. What is our next team according to our power rankings?
This is like podcast Christmas, Mick. Like, this is surprise moment. You don't know what's happening next because I am not organized enough to share my power rankings with you. We had different people at number 4. You had a team that, by my quick calculations, finished with an overall. So I ranked teams like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they finished basically with 7 points, which is 4th, and that is the Winnipeg Jets. The Winnipeg Jets, you had ranked 4th. I had them ranked slightly higher, but cumulatively they finished 4th in our rankings. What do you like about Winnipeg this year?
I like pretty much what they kind of brought to the table last year, right? Like I think this is one of the better forward groups in the league. We saw Hellebuck play at elite level, right? Like I don't know, we can get into it. I know he stumbled a little bit in the playoffs, but like one of the best goalies in the league. right? Like if he gets that little bit more consistent, I think we could probably call him one of the best goalies in the league. And when you have that guy in your team, he's still young. They've got the pieces. Defensively, did they add something to make me say, oh, hey, they actually have a defenseman on their team? I don't think so. But the talent up front, I think with a healthy Pierre-Luc Dubois this season, I would think that hopefully the sky's the limit for this team, right? Like that should give them that little bit more consistency. It's, assuming guys stay healthy, that's a playoff win or two, right?
Yeah, so I've kind of embraced the Winnipeg Jets as the outliers that they are, and that is last year, relative to their metrics, they overachieved substantially, and that has to do with Connor Hellebuck. I think that like Connor Hellebuck can't continue to do this the rest of his career. But you touched on a couple important things, and that is this team is great at generating offense, but their Achilles heel has been preventing offense, and that is their defensive core is basically dog shit. Sorry. You know what? They moved on from Tucker Poolman. Tucker Poolman is gone.
I see that, and I'm a little disappointed, but I also wanted to point out that Tucker Poolman won't be in their top 6 this year, so like that's pretty exciting.
I still can't believe that this guy who started off as a joke 2 years ago has moved himself into top 4 defenseman. I think he's in the conversation to play on a line with Quinn Hughes or Oliver Ekman-Larsson in Vancouver in the top 4. I was like, how did this happen? How did Tucker Poolman become this top 4 defenseman? Mick, explain it to me. This is not a rhetorical question. My head hurts thinking about this.
Occasionally in sports, a miracle happens, you see. I don't want to wax poetically too long on this occasion, but I think what we saw was the emergence of just I don't know. I got nothing. I kind of ran this team there. Yeah,
he's Jesus. What you're describing is a Jesus defenseman. This guy came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. He was born a miracle, and then this is just how he's embraced this. I'm now a top 4 defenseman, and nobody had the balls to say, you know what, Tucker Poolman, guess what? You're actually not a top 4 defenseman. So now he just is.
Sure, I guess. Sure. But yeah, I mean, obviously the back end troubles. I think it looks better on paper, right? Looks a little bit better than last year. So, I mean, if it is just that little bit better, if Hellebuck, I hope he goes up. You're saying he kind of goes down. And then offensively, they're going to score goals. They're deep, you know.
Yeah. So I think that this is a bounce back year for Connor Hellebuck. I think he improves off of last year because consistency was an issue. But I think this is kind of the Jets' last kick at the can. I'm calling it right now. If this doesn't work this year, there's nothing left to be done here. Connor Hellebuck's going to be – he can't continue to do this forever. You see it with every outstanding goaltender. You could say it's kind of analogous to the Montreal Canadiens. Carey Price carried the Canadiens further than they deserved to go for many years. And that's kind of what I see with Winnipeg with Connor Hellebuck in net. And that is like their metrics don't support that they're as good as they are, but that's because Connor Hellebuck is better than basically every other goalie in the league. So he can't do it forever. This is it. If they don't do it this year, they're going to need to need to overhaul their back end.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, there could be some changes. But, I mean, they've got some pieces. That's enough. That's enough on the Winnipeg Jets. They don't deserve any more of our attention.
Yeah, until we can go pee on the brick wall at the Forks, guess what? Winnipeg, we're done fawning over you. So
there you go. All right, so what's number 3? That's exciting. Who could it be?
So there's actually a tie here. And using my composite rankings, we are going with number 3, the Edmonton Oilers. I had them ranked slightly ahead. You had them ranked number 3.
Huh. Neat. There you go. Neat. Edmonton Oilers. Is it the same old story where we kind of look at the off-season moves that this team made and say, is Connor McDavid going to waste another year of his brilliant career? Just absolutely incredible. One of the, he's going to go down as one of the best players of all time. And they're kind of just squandering his talents. That's kind of it with Edmonton, right? Like, was this year, did they do enough? Did they do something to change it? But I think when you have maybe arguably one of the potentially could go down as the best players of all time. You got to give the guys credit. And I'm interested to continue to watch, right? So I'm going to keep checking in. How are the Edmonton Oilers doing? How many points does Connor McDavid have? So that's why they ended up third on my list, because my interest levels are peaked, and they have to be peaked. I have to give them respect.
Yeah, so this is a team that kind of overachieved relative to their metrics, and it really boils down to Edmonton's special teams. And that is the power play with Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid was just better than everybody else. Their efficiency rating was through the roof. It kind of makes me nervous because I don't know how you duplicate that. So if you're not matching the productivity, however, I do like what they did this offseason. Don't get me started on Duncan Keith. Let's avoid Duncan Keith.
I forgot about Duncan Keith. I'm just seeing this now.
Damn it, Nick. We were running on a good train there. Now we have to go talk about fucking Duncan Keith.
Why?
Yeah, that's okay. That's a great question. And, philosophical debate notwithstanding, this was a terrible move. You move on from Caleb Jones, one of your best defensemen in the system, for 38-year-old Duncan Keith, who has seen diminishing metrics over the last 3 years. This is kind of that old school mentality that you saw from Ken Holland, and in his presser, he defended this by saying he has those intangibles. And this is what I fucking hate about intangibles, is that old people use it to describe something that's good. Duncan Keith is not good. I don't know how their back end is going to improve with Duncan Keith in the mix.
I'm now reacting. You're watching a man's live reaction to me looking at the back end of the Oilers. So Darnell Nurse, excellent. Signed for the next 9 years. $9 million? What? I forgot about that.
That's the going rate for defensemen now. Who else? Seth Jones got a big chunk.
Unless it's Quinn
Dougie
Hughes.
Hamilton.
Unless it's Quinn Hughes with 7. What the heck? Duncan Keith. All right, cool. Tyson Barrie. Whatever. Cody Ceci. All right, let's look at the forwards will make me feel better about myself, and I'll stop chuckling. Oh my gosh, what the heck?
You know what hurts the most is that they moved on from Ethan Bear and Caleb Jones. And Ethan Bear in the postseason was bad. Ethan Bear was not a good defenseman in the postseason. But it was his first fucking real postseason game, and then you staple him to the bench, you put him out 3 periods later, mistakes are going to happen, man. I think that Dave Tippett needs to eat that one a little bit more than he did, and moving on from him in this offseason sucks. This is foreshadowing because where he landed was a good spot for him. But the Oilers need to drive the offensive bus to win hockey games. They are going to be in high-scoring games because that is how they're going to need to win games. Moving on from the back end, because it is all laughable, their forward core, their top 6, is that the addition of Zach Hyman and William Fogel, I think, are going to be huge to balancing out the top 6. Now, even in preseason games, Hyman and McDavid have that chemistry. This is a win-now team. Hyman in probably even 3 years isn't going to be the Hyman you get now. Mm-hmm. They overpaid for length and term and salary, but it helps them win now.
I agree, and you. Hopefully, my face showed that. And if you're listening to us, I apologize. Their back end is pretty laughable. Up front, this is a very respectable group of forwards, and it's one of those I start getting kind of jealous a little bit of the forward core going forward. You count down to even Yamamoto at 9. They've got 3 very solid lines of guys that are going to hurt you offensively that you have to take account of, as well as Connor McDavid somewhere on the ice that every team's going to have to account for. So yes, you're going to be able to score on them, but when you're making any turnovers, if there's an odd man rush going the other way, they're definitely the puck's in the back of your net. Sorry, it's going to happen. So it's kind of, yeah, I like it. I like that. I like that. We don't need goalies, defense. Nah, all offense all the time. Smart.
There you go. A new tagline: all offense all the time. That's going to be the Edmonton Oilers. Moving on, because we don't need to belabor the strengths of the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah,
we've got 2 teams left. You had this team ranked first in your power rankings. I had the Montreal Canadiens ranked fourth. I got to know, and they ended up second on our list. What do you like about Montreal so much to rank them first?
They are hands down the most entertainment, most bang for your buck hockey team that exists in the world right now. It's not just Canada. In the entire league, they are the most entertaining team. They do weird stuff just for S's and G's. They have weird press conferences. News drops all the time. If I was a Montreal Canadiens fan, I'd be in heaven. I was getting news all the time. Not good news. By no means is it good news. I think this team is going to be absolutely crap. But entertainment-wise, they have me. From going on that historic playoff run, Carey Price basically lifted this team for 3 rounds into the Stanley Cup Finals and then was actually embarrassed. He was an embarrassed professional hockey player in the Stanley Cups, and I haven't got to talk about this, and I wanted to bring it up. Absolutely just, like, it was one-sided. It was a Stanley Cup champion team and a team that maybe shouldn't have made the playoffs playing in the Stanley Cup Finals. And I was like, great. When they, like, did they win a game or did they get swept? I think they got, was it 4-1?
I think they won a game.
Yeah, great. Awesome. So Tampa Bay didn't care when they were up 2-0, and they're like, whatever, I guess you guys can have a game. That's really what it boiled down to. But absolutely just embarrassing. You flash forward, like, none of the free agent signings that are on the screen right now mean anything. Awful. All their best players are gone. During the expansion draft, instead of saying, hey, Carey Price is our cherished goaltender, you need that, they literally left him unexposed and came out and said, his contract is so terrible, why would anyone want this? You get Shea Weber, who's, I don't know, is his career done? Apparently he was playing in the Stanley Cup Finals, and 2 weeks later he's like, oh, I can't play hockey anymore. I might be done for, like, I might have to retire from injuries. And I was like, okay, great. They draft sex offenders in the first round of the NFL in the draft. Like, that Bergevin's involved in this Blackhawks scandal. And then Carey Price has to go on a substance control store. Like, absolutely entertaining start to finish. Good job. Great. You've kept my attention. You know, like, oh, Philip Deneau, you're the shutdown center. That was like the story of the playoffs. Yeah, we don't need to pay you. That's fine. Well, I don't even know who we have at center, but it's probably fine.
You know what? You glossed over what I found was the most entertaining thing of the offseason, and that was the offer sheet for Kotkaniemi that the Carolina Hurricanes offered him. And there was something cheeky about the value dollar too. Like, there was like 17, it was this number or something, like it was $6 million and $6,017 or something like that.
Or was it oh no, I'm drawing a blank. It was the number of Sebastian Aho was the signing bonus.
That's what it was. Yes, yeah. You're right. It wasn't Kotkaniemi, it was Sebastian Aho. Yeah. Oh, man. I had this team ranked fourth, and this is kind of what I was alluding to from a power rankings perspective, is kind of between them and Vancouver. On my paper, I actually penciled in Vancouver fourth, and I scratched them out, then I put Montreal. And the rationale is that their metrics actually support that they're decent. But you've touched on all the most important things. That is Price. So the assistance program that he is in is actually a mental health assistance program. So, like, kudos for him to getting help and, like, using this as a platform to say, you know, it's okay to ask for help. Good for Carey Price. But yeah, Shea Weber's gone. They offset that a little bit with the David Savard signing. I like Savard. I like what he brings. He does a little bit of everything. But it's not enough to propel this team to victory. They traded for Christian Dvorak after they lost Kotkaniemi. His metrics in Arizona were kind of subpar, but I think that he'll do better under the Montreal's kind of analytics first systems. But I think that the difference is that you're not going to have Price at least for the start of the year. Shea Weber might never be coming back. You lost Kotkaniemi, who was a good two-way forward. You replaced him with a guy who's basically, I want to say replacement. He was actually below replacement level, but I'm going to call him replacement level when he's in Montreal, and that is kind of one of those 50% players. I don't see how they got better this offseason. I don't see how they're going to duplicate their success from last season unless, like, they catch, lightning in a bottle again, which seems highly unlikely 2 years in a row. This is a team that's probably also going to be outside of the playoffs looking in, kind of similar to Vancouver. But I gave them the edge because their analytics do support it. That being said, I don't think Guy Ducharme is the guy who is a modern-day NHL coach, so I think that's going to hurt them. Especially now you got to beat Boston, now you got to beat Tampa. You don't get to beat up Calgary or Ottawa or Vancouver this season. This is going to be a long season for Montreal, or at least a different season.
And we often talk about like regression to the mean. I know that's one of your like you love saying that. Ducharme definitely was playing up like coached above his expected value last year. So what does that regression to the mean look like for him this year? We might have a new coach in Montreal by the end of the season. It's going to look so bad, right? So yeah, it doesn't look great on paper. I guess Dvorak, is he their top center?
Yeah.
Him and Suzuki, I guess, 1-2. I don't know.
Suzuki's probably their top line guy. I don't know. Like I said, this team, they might be scrappy, but I don't think they're a playoff team.
No, not at all. And I mean, like, even like, if you want to talk just playoffs as a whole, you know, we step back, like, who are the big guys? Like, I mean, Weber was a difference maker, although I don't think defensively he was their best defenseman. And then you get, like, obviously Price, where was I going with this? Philip Deneau, Corey Perry. And you're seeing that lots of those faces are not returning at this moment, and I think that's going to hurt too. And also one of those things with Corey Perry is one of your better players in the playoffs. Are you that good to begin with? I don't know.
That is the philosophical question we will leave you hanging with the Montreal Canadiens as we move to number 1 in the preseason power rankings. I don't think it's any... I think everybody can do the math on this one. I have them ranked 1. You have them ranked 2. The Toronto Maple Leafs. They are the preseason Canada Puck preseason number 1 overall team.
We did it, guys. We did it. Woo.
You know what? But start the parade. Let's not wait until the regular season starts when they win games. Let's start the parade planning now because you have been tabbed the best in Canada.
I didn't like their offseason. It kind of disappointed me, to be perfectly honest with you. Since 2016, I've had glimmers of hope. I've been optimistic. I've thought, good job, great job. Those last 3 years, some unfortunate things, right? Like, we don't have to dive into it too much. I didn't love what they did with their goaltending. And I think that might be one of the holdbacks for kind of how they, like, in theory, this team should be ramping up speed, using momentum to try and win playoff series and compete for the Stanley Cup. I don't think they did that this year. So we'll see. Not really optimistic. When I first saw it, Mazarek signed a 3-year deal worth $3.8 million. I thought, that's great. That's like 1.2 a season. That's exactly what you should be paying for a backup goaltender. Oh no, they paid $4 million for Peter Mazarek. I don't know why. The other pieces they brought in, like the Nick Ritchies of the world, are going to kind of hopefully replace the Hymans, give you some type of intangible.
Son of a bitch.
Right? Something that they're missing, but I think really, I mean, the Toronto Maple Leafs are, you know who they are? They're just kind of reloading, running it forward. We're going to overreact. You're going to have to hear about it all the time. Go Toronto. Maple Leafs.
So the Transformers, what you're describing as a Transformer, the Power Rangers.
Yes.
Go Toronto Maple Leafs. No team is better than Toronto when it comes to analytics, much like the Blue Ranger. But you're right. I wasn't wowed by this team's offseason. They're still the best Canadian team. Yeah. And that is because they have all the analytics supporting them up. But I think one of the things that will be, when Austin Matthews came into this league, he was like this bright-eyed future of hockey superstar. Have you seen Austin Matthews recently? Because he's not looking like he's doing so well.
I haven't. Normally I wait. Is he not doing? Huh.
You remember what happened to Phil Kessel? That's what we are witnessing that right now with Austin Matthews, and that is like I think the bright lights of Toronto are starting to weigh him down a little bit. He's not looking so good, Mick.
That's not. You know what? There's a really good hot dog cart that used to park outside of Philip J. Kessel's apartment, and that guy supported 5 kids through universities, through master's degrees, and when that ran dry, he went and found himself Austin Matthews at 34 Maple Leaf Drive, and he parked that hot dog cart outside the house, and he said, I got grandkids now. I got to take care of them, and I think Matthews is doing a good job of supporting local small businesses in Toronto. So he's an upstanding citizen. I don't know what you're poking fun at.
Just, this poor guy's gonna fucking lose his mind playing in Toronto.
Yeah,
and better men than Austin Matthews have fallen into the city of Toronto. So that, without all of that notwithstanding, this team still has a great group of forwards. Yeah. They still have a tremendous back end. I'm not sold on goaltending, but I don't think you need you don't need a Connor Hellebuck when you have the systems in place in front of you.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I think they're going to remain one of the best teams in the league, at least from an analytics perspective. But they have to win this year. If they do not make a run to at least the Eastern Conference semifinals, I think we're talking about Kyle Dubas as the hot dog cart vendor instead of the GM of the team, because he can't continue to he's going to fall on his sword on this one for better or worse, and it's up to the team to actually win now.
100%. And the kudos, I was going to say that kind of before I stopped talking there before, but kudos for Dubas to saying, this is my vision, this is what I think these guys can win, they're going to win, let's let them win. And that's cool, rather than kind of pulling the trigger, right? Mitch Marner takes a penalty by flipping the puck over the glass. You stick with the kid though, right? You give them that support kind of behind the scenes, and you hope that they kind of clash and everything kind of rolls and they get that momentum. I heard a really good analogy over the last couple months, and it was about PGA. How do you win a PGA event? And essentially it's 9 to 11 golfers that are all very similar skilled, that are all just clumped together, and then one guy gets lucky. Right? One guy has some lucky bounces. He avoids that sand trap. That putt goes in instead of around the cup or something like that, and that's how he wins. So really, it's just this big cluster. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs are still in that cluster of top 5, top 6 in the league, and they just need that lucky bounce, right? Like you were saying, this is the year, your rule of 6 or whatever you were talking about last year, where it's kind of that cycle, right? Is this the year that kicks it? Time will tell. They're going to be in the postseason. It's kind of wait and suffer through round 1, so...
The rule of 6. We'll talk more about that throughout the season. Stay tuned, listeners. But I do realistic predictions. What are you expecting from Toronto this year?
I do want to mention this just because it does bug me. Frederik Andersen. I know he's a little bit older, but for $4.5 million, you could have kept Freddie. I think he was a good goalie when he was there. I think he was a top 10 guy when he was playing and he was healthy. So unless there's a serious health issue, why did you get Mazarek? Come on, that really bugs me. Realistic expectations, they're fighting for top spot in the Atlantic Division. Maybe probably finish second. I would say second or third, easily. They have to win a playoff series this year. This team's too talented, and there's too much going on, barring some type of big giant injury, or John Tavares losing his head and us having to watch that horrific scene of him trying to pick himself off the ice again. That actually, I was thinking about that this morning, and the visceral reaction my body was giving to just awful thing to happen. So that's my prediction. At least they're going to win a round. They'll finish at least second, maybe third, maybe first.
Again, so we basically just cursed the Toronto Maple Leafs, because I was picturing the exact same thing. Yeah. This is the year they make it back to the conference finals. Yeah. They're probably going to have they will have a very winnable first round matchup. Whoever it is, they're going to finish at least second in their division. That gives them, well, I shouldn't say very winnable, because then you're either stuck with Boston or Tampa Bay realistically. Mm-hmm. But they get over the hump this year. I think that we're talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs having a shot at the Stanley Cup Finals. I don't think they make it unless Peter Mrazek, surprises me in the postseason. I think that conference finals is where this team kind of ends up.
Yeah. I've heard lots of good things about Campbell. They absolutely love the guy. They'll go to the end of the earth. You figure maybe he gets maybe what we saw last year wasn't, in my opinion, a fluke. And that is who he's just going to be, and it's going to be that top 10 goalie. He's going to get hot. The guys are going to rally around him. Go for it.
Yeah, and you know what? That's true. Maybe Soup's the guy who's the postseason goalie. We don't know what happens between now and April. So
a lot of heartaches, a lot of talk, and Freddie Andersen watches will be live here from Toronto because we have to care more about the Carolina Hurricanes than we do our own team. Back to you, Chip.
You know what? So more foreshadowing. I'm leaving even more breadcrumbs. Freddie Anderson. He's going to have a good year. However, I think that concludes our preseason power rankings. We have said it all. I've said it all. Now it's time to see how spot on our analysis is, both from an entertainment perspective and more of a data-driven approach. So,
again, Montreal sucks. Like, if Montreal and Calgary are battling for, like, the number 1 draft pick, like, I'd be like, that makes sense. But it's going to be an entertaining ride because, like, things will be said, weird trades will happen. Can't wait.
It's going to be good. But that wraps up preseason power rankings. We normally would transition. I think our preferred method is normally my dirty fantasy. We got nothing to talk about this year. And that is last year, like Mick was saying at the start of the show, we transitioned from kind of this oft forgotten fantasy pool to daily or weekly DFS lineups for whatever day we were recording on. And I love that approach. I can't wait to dig into it again next week with you. But unfortunately, we got nothing to talk about today because the games have not yet started.
And if there are FanDuel, like, only degenerates that do nothing but paw over NHL are playing right now, and I don't want that market. I need some public money to, like, win. So I'm like, I'm good. No, not going to happen. So, yeah.
All right. Moving on. Where does that take us? Bettor Advice.
Bettor Advice. So each week we take 100 theoretical dollars and we have to gamble it on any way we want. We can put it all on a 7-team parlay and win billions of dollars. We can just do some over-unders. The sky's the limit. But right now, again, we're not going to bet on preseason games because we're not monsters. But there are a lot of futures. So if you look at the futures board and you randomly just throw some poop against the wall, that's what you get today. And then we keep track of it sometimes. That's exciting. I don't know who won or lost last year, if there was any consequences, but it's a fun way of keeping track of it. And I think if you did listen to us, you would have, like, made a little bit of money.
Yeah, I would say I'd have to run back, but I think we did all right. Like, you came back clawing at the end of the season and you finished strong.
Yeah.
And I think I was above water for most of the season, so.
Yeah, nice. Good job, us. And it was a short season because it just started in January. All right, now it's all coming back to me. I block out a lot of things, pain in my head, so.
I have 2 wagers that I like preseason. You, again, proactively shared your wagers with me. So I'll let you decide who goes first in this segment. Is it me or is it you?
I kind of have... I mean, if we want to talk kind of big stories, so just other headlines that we didn't cover that maybe should be addressed is defensemen got really overpaid this summer. I don't know if that's something we need to go into right now. As well as Barkov just signed a $10 million deal in Florida, which is a lot of money because I don't think there's any state taxes. So he's putting a lot of money in his pocket each week. I don't know if the Florida Panthers are that good, which is why I'm taking the Florida Panthers as my first Bettor Advice futures board, and did I put dollar figures on that?
Let me just check the email here.
I believe I have it broken down to $50 in my head, that the Florida Panthers will go under their point total of 101.5. Is that correct?
My Gmail is still loading.
Cool. I could check on my phone maybe, because I don't want to pull it up on my screen. Then you see all my personal stuff, internet. Although, you want to talk about getting, some hits. That's...
So there's no money attached. However, there is Panthers under 101.5 points for minus 110.
I remembered. So, yeah. So with that, I'm going to put... No, I want to do 25. That makes sense? Yeah, let's do 25 on that. So, Panthers under 101. I think that's a lot. I just don't see that they... I don't know. They got to get really lucky. They play in a tough division. Like we said, I think the Leafs are in that second spot. Tampa Bay's still sitting there. Like, Boston's going to, have some fight left in them. I just don't see it. I don't see them getting to 101 points. So,
yeah, that's a pretty substantive winning percentage. So, You're right. I think that is a little off. Yeah, I respect your under 101. I think a lot of people have been high on the Panthers, uh, but I'm not. What did we see from Bobrovsky last year? Not much.
Questionable. Like, didn't they have like a young kid that seemed like he was maybe a better goalie? Right? Like, I don't know. Something between Bobrovsky, Barkov, and Ekblad at this point. They have something like $27 million tied up in 3 players. The salary cap sucks for everybody. Everybody has terrible deals. Like, we don't have to talk about that. Bring me something new. If you're going to say, they have too much money tied up in these players, everyone does. You can move it. Expansion teams happen. They want contracts. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, buyouts happen. Yeah, give me a better excuse. I agree, 100%. All right. So, did you get to the bottom of who their goalie was?
I didn't. I'm seeing Spencer Knight, but that doesn't seem right to me. I feel like there was like another name, but
no, it was Spencer Knight because that was the kid who came on. Or no, you're right. There was somebody else mid-season. Spencer Knight came on, I think, a little later. Well, you look into that. I will offer my first pick of the year, or my first, pick of the year. I guess that makes sense because we're in the first Bettor Advice segment of the year. Mm-hmm. I have only 2 picks. I like both of them a lot. First of which, I'm going into the trophy market, and this is specifically the Norris Trophy winner. I hate betting chalk. I hate it so much. However, Cale Makar is worth the investment at plus 400 or better. What we saw from him last year was outstanding. He finished last year with a better expected goals for percentage than Connor McDavid, the Hart Trophy winner. And I've even went so far as saying Cale Makar is worth an investment in the futures market, in the Hart Trophy market, because I think it was 60 to 1.
Okay.
Because this guy's metrics just blow me out of the water. And not only that, he has the supporting cast to lift him up even higher. And this is he's only going into his 3rd season in the league. So everything about this kid screams superstar. He's responsible defensively. He makes plays offensively, even strength, and on the power play. His points were evenly distributed across power play and even strength. So that is, he had 22 power play points last season, 22 even strength points last season. And I think that just speaks volume. Like, if you're scoring just as much as even strength as you are in the power play, you're pretty fucking good at hockey. Mm-hmm. So Cale Makar plus 400. I'm betting $50 he takes home the James Norris Trophy. If you're feeling particularly ballsy, bet him in the Hart Trophy because his stock will rise this year, and his you're not getting a better price than 60 to 1.
Great, awesome. And what was your second one?
Ooh.
Oh, anyways, back to the Florida conversation. Just to tie a bow on that. Chris Driedger was the goalie, 26 years old, had 14 wins compared to Bobrovsky's 19 wins, and he was selected by the Seattle Kraken in the expansion draft. So,
yeah. So, Bettor Advice, I was thinking, like, we could alternate, because you have 3, I have 2, you go, I go, you go, I go, and then you wrap things up.
Yeah, so for myself, speaking of Hart Trophy, I'm just going to roll with McDavid. I kind of said I was interested in just kind of watching McDavid. I think at 2 to 1, plus 200, nothing great, but for $50, I will put that there. Try and win a little bit of coin at the end of the year. It's going to happen, right? He's going to put up a lot of points. That's my logic.
That's sound logic.
Better offensively, defensively, they suck. They're abysmal. That he's going to have to score to then stay close. So for 2 to 1, I will put some money. It's kind of the chalk pick, right? Unfortunately. On the other side, though, if for some reason he doesn't score that many points, let's say he's injured or out for any period of time, I like the Oilers to go under because I can't see them winning a lot of games unless McDavid is putting up his 3 to 4 points a night kind of thing, which is why I'm going to put my last $25 on the Oilers under 98.5 points at minus 110. Hedging a little bit there.
I get your logic. Oilers, again, maybe the Pacific Division isn't what it used to be. I remember there was a time when, playing in California against Anaheim, against LA, against San Jose, like those weren't fun trips. I feel like it's not what it used to be. And that is the Oilers are better than all three of those teams. I don't know what Seattle. I've discounted expansion franchises in the past, so I'm not doing that with Seattle. Maybe they compete. I don't know if they. I don't think they have the success that Vegas Golden Knights did. But this isn't. We can't dismiss expansion franchises like we did in years past. Yeah. So, you know what? I'm kind of talking myself into. You know what? Maybe I do like the Vancouver Canucks to make the postseason. But, however, I respect your picks. I've got one more. I've been leaving breadcrumbs throughout. It all culminates in this moment right here and now. The Carolina Hurricanes. I love this team. I was going to bet them to win the Stanley Cup, but then I thought, I'll just bet them to win the President's Trophy. Then I landed on, no, this is going to be the Atlantic Division team to beat. For the past 3 years, there's only been one team better from an advanced metrics perspective, and that is the Vegas Golden Knights. They finished top 6 in expected goals for percentage in each of the last 3 years. They got better in the offseason. I know that they moved on from a couple of key pieces, but Frederik Andersen landing in Carolina is probably the best thing that's going to happen to the Hurricanes, because the biggest knock on this franchise has been that they don't have the goaltending to get them where they need to be. They have that in Andersen. And we saw, as we've seen people leave Toronto and excel, like Phil Kessel. I think Anderson's going to be the next exile to really just flourish in his new environment. He's got a strong system in front of him. He's got, tread left on the tires. Anderson's going to be a good goalie for the Hurricanes this year. They got better on the back end. I know they lost Dougie Hamilton, but Ethan Bear is an above-average replacement. Mm-hmm. They got Kotkaniemi. There's top 6, even there's forwards from top to bottom, all 4 lines. They all fulfill a role. So I love what Carolina is bringing to the table this year. Plus 480 to win the Atlantic Division for $50.
I think you mean Metro.
Sorry, Metro Division.
Yeah.
Metro.
I was like, the Leafs can't play the Hurricanes and finish second, because we have to amend that. So yeah, I got that pulled up on screen right there. I like it. I like that pick. Like I said, I like Frederik Andersen. So sure, go win a cup elsewhere. Son of a gun.
Yeah. Again, so if you don't be shy. I know futures markets are volatile, but Carolina, similar to Cale Makar's stock, is going to rise. I don't know if we're going to get a better price in the Stanley Cup futures market, but I'm taking them to win the Metro.
And if we learned anything about being a garbage franchise that rewards garbage players and karma not being a thing, they do have Tony DeAngelo on their team. So, the anti-karma train is hot in Carolina. Whoop, whoop.
You know what? Would they embrace this 2 years ago? What did bunch of jerks? Is that what Don Cherry called them?
Yep.
They embraced this. And you know what? They personified it this year by doing that cheeky Kotkaniemi offer sheet. Mm-hmm. Maybe DeAngelo checks that box too. But this is a team.
Oh, you're saying they don't believe in karma. They're just going full heel at this point, right?
I was just going to say that. They are a heel franchise at this point. They absolutely are.
We're talking coconut skull smashing and kicking, super kicking your best friend through a plate glass window, that level of heel. Wow.
Yeah. That's what. And you know what? If you get those references, you and Mick should go have a beer.
Kudos. Sweet, yo. So that's it. We have a game. I think we have a Babe of the Week.
We always have a Babe of the Week. But
do you want to find out what fun game you get to play this year?
More than anything in the entire world.
All right. So I went out and I did some shopping this morning. And I'm pretty excited because we almost had a very similar conversation before we started the pod. And I didn't want to allude to what was going on. But look what I have for you.
Oh, no.
I bought a box of cards.
Oh.
Upper deck cards. There's some young guns. That means we have some rookies. We could have, I don't know who the hot rookies are, but these could have the first Seattle Kraken cards in them. I don't know if the jerseys are there. So I bought a box. It's a booster. We have 7 packs, 8 cards per pack. So we can open this up, or we can do one an episode at the end just to add a little spice. I did get 1 fat pack of cards. So there's 23 cards in here. So would you rather open a small pack or the big pack today?
We are now straddling both gambling and unboxing. And unboxing is as big as fat in the vlog world. I'm excited. You know what? This feels like a special occasion for, I don't know when there's going to be a more special occasion than to open a 23 pack of cards.
Now, I'm going to read you some type of information on the card, and you have to try and guess who it is.
Ooh.
If you get it, I will make a stack, and you can have Grant's stack, and you could potentially have all these cards. They might be your cards. So if you can guess based on, I'll give you something: statistics, team they play for, right, position, and if you can guess who they are, card, we'll do a reveal. Card is yours, and that's going to be the game. So you've got 23. You could potentially win 23 cards today. Or
there's going to be some good ones in there too. I know it.
Oh, it could be like a huge. Like, could you imagine if it's some type of like weird like insert or something like that, and you sit there and all of a sudden you're like, you screw up. This is high drama right here. So
doesn't get more exciting than this, folks. This is honestly the best game we've ever played.
Oh, and like Jeopardy is a pretty classic game on this show. So
we once had a game where I could ride Mick as a toboggan. Or maybe that was our Bettor Advice segment. But nonetheless, the shenanigans never end.
Never end. So we've got our fat pack open. You know what? I even have some penny sleeves here in case we hit anything huge that we have to save. So, and I mean, you're talking about trying to get funding for the show. Right here. We'll just hit some high cards. Like Connor McDavid, 1 of 1 something. I don't see any like cool patch autos, so that's too bad. All right.
Well, maybe next time.
All right,
we got 7 more packs to go through.
We have a lot of cards, and maybe I'll buy a couple other boxes to start stockpiling a little bit. So, ready for this? So, or we could do like half. In theory, we could do half the cards now, half next week. See how we do.
Yeah, well, we'll see how long it takes. We're already over an hour. I guess we had lost those goddamn sneaky, frisky Ottawa Senators. They just kept us yapping.
Far too much time. We needed to pass. We should have just passed on them and moved on. So,
classic Canada puck.
All right. So, the first card here. He is a, does it say? Plays for the Winnipeg Jets. He spent most of his career up until this point with the Kings. He has 70 goals and 674 games played. So, LA King that signed with the Winnipeg Jets this year.
Oh, man.
I did actually mention his name earlier in the podcast, so.
Okay. I'm just trying to run it back. I got so caught up. What was the Jets tagline again? I can't remember. I'm missing all the cues.
Mm-hmm.
Who was a good forward? Actually, who's not that good of a forward?
Mm-hmm.
I'm drawing an absolute blank here. I'm just going to...
Carter Blank! You got it! No, you didn't.
I'm going to say 600 games. He was drafted, what is that, 8 years ago?
Yeah, 2015 is his first year with the Kings. 75 games played. At least that's what the card has.
They had a lot of unfortunate-looking guys on the Kings, and I'm just trying to think of which one it is.
I think he was apparently a trade deadline acquisition.
You know what? I give up. I'm not going to get this. It's driving me crazy.
The answer is Trevor Lewis.
Trevor Lewis. Is he unfortunate looking?
He's
pretty
handsome.
Yeah.
He's a pretty handsome guy. All right.
Ah.
All right. So how about this next card here? So he is according to this, a Buffalo Sabres. He spent a little bit of his career with the Minnesota Wild, quick flash with the Rangers. Comes to us from the Carolina Hurricanes. He has 1,021 points in 1,200 NHL games. I don't know where he currently plays, but he was a Montreal Canadian last year. So there's lots of information. So Buffalo Sabres jersey, played for Montreal. Also was with the Wild, Rangers, Carolina.
Oh, man. You've given me way more information than I deserve, and I'm still not going to get this.
16 NHL seasons?
All right. The only person I can think of who had that much experience on the Habs last year is not the person who it is on that card. 1,200 points. Like, this should be pretty fucking straightforward. Or 1,200 games played, 1,000 points. Carolina Hurricanes. Who ended up in Buffalo? Man, you're going to have all the best cards. Who was it?
It was Eric Stahl.
Eric Stahl. God damn it.
I thought that was straightforward. One of Grant's favorite players. All right, let's see if we can get through a couple more cards here. We've got a maybe if they really suck, do we just want to move on?
Yeah, let's move on from the sucky guys.
All right.
Who was it?
Are you ever Daniel Sprong?
Yeah, never would have guessed Daniel Sprong.
Nope, not at all. All right, here we go. So we've got how much do I want to give away? So we've got a Winnipeg Jets jersey. All right, he plays center. He came from... No, I don't want to say that because that's way too obvious. 3 seasons. He has...
Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Pierre-Luc Dubois!
Yeah!
Grant got a card!
Made it. Oh, we made it, fam.
All right. Are you going to be able to get this person? Because I wouldn't. We're going to go with... Yeah, let's just move on because I think the next card's a good one. So we've got Casey Sazakis. Do you want this card? Islanders?
No, I don't.
All right.
That one's yours.
Do you want a Trevor Lewis card? Because I don't want either. All right. So we've got our next one here. He's an Edmonton Oiler. He's played 3 seasons. He has 139 goals. Anything else I can... He's from Sweden.
3... Oh, man.
So younger guy, plays with the Oilers, from Sweden. He has 37 points through 3 seasons with the Oilers. Wait, what year are these? 2020. Oh, they're last year's cards. That makes sense. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I guess that kind of solves the Eric Stahl mystery for me.
Yeah, because I was like, why do they keep, Buffalo? It seems weird. I don't even know where he plays right now, but...
So 37 goals. Is it a defenseman? I guess
he's a forward.
He's a forward.
And maybe he didn't have the best start to his career.
Oh, Jesse Puljujarvi? Is it Puljujarvi?
It's Puljujarvi.
Yay, P2J.
Nice. You got a good stack here. You're definitely getting the better cards here. So, he's a goalie. He's got a nice Penguins jersey on here. Remember? From a couple seasons ago. This game says he still is a Penguin. I don't know if he is or not. He might be.
Who is the... Is it the... oh, God. His first name's Casey. It starts with a D.
No, it's the other guy. And apparently he was an all-star because it's an all-star card. Ooh.
Oh, man. Who's the other guy? Tristan Jarry.
Hey, it's Tristan Jarry.
Yeah!
Nice.
We made it.
It's a good stack of cards you got going on here. He's in a Rangers jersey on this card. He is a musician. He sings the song Banana Pancakes. He's a surfer vibe. He was he the first
Jack
one?
Johnson.
Hey, it was Jack Johnson. All right, let's see if we can get through. Get to at least that card? Oh yeah, there's some good ones coming up. All right, so we'll go through 5 more cards, and we'll save some for next week. So,
Deal.
All right. I don't think you're gonna get this card. Would you ever get Penguins Colton Sceviour?
Sceviour? I don't think so. I never would have guessed that. Good job for moving on.
All right. Shoot. He is a center, plays for Nashville. He played for the Flyers and the Coyotes and Montreal and Vegas in 1 season. So,
oh man,
no, it's his first name's kind of like my name, and he'd be like your aunt's kid.
Mike Nephew,
but in relation to you, your aunt's kid.
Oh, Nick Cousins.
Hey, it's Nick Cousins. All right. Oh my god!
I love the clues. Oh, those, yeah. Way to lead me right to it.
Do you want Connor Timmins?
I'll take Connor Timmins. I'm not going to fist you with all the bad cards.
All right. So then we got these last 2 are actually are good ones. I think we can get this. So I don't know where he signed. It actually took me a hot second to remember where he signed. He was one of the big free agent signings this year. I believe he ended up in Boston. If you were to
Taylor Hall.
It is Taylor Hall in a nice Buffalo jersey.
Oh, Buffalo Taylor Hall. What a find.
Pretty sharp there. And he was the captain once of Le Belle Provence until he became one of those damn dirty Golden Knights.
Oh, Max Pacioretty.
And it's an all-star too. Look at that. Oh.
You know what? I'm going to give you the Max Pacioretty. I'm not taking all the good cards. You take Max Pacioretty all-star.
I appreciate that. So we still have a good stack of cards for next week. I'm not going to look at them. I'm going to put them back into my wrapping that I carelessly threw on the ground with just no regard for human decency. That's weird.
But there was some sauciness to it. It's like you were a boss and you knew it. Yeah.
So let's look at this box. Oh, yeah, it is. So it's last year's. So, I mean, maybe there's some rookies. Was there any, like, big standout stars?
There's got to be somebody. Who won the Calder Trophy last year? You know what? Doesn't matter, because we're not going to solve that mystery right now.
No, it's not a thing that's going to do. So I think that kind of wraps up our preseason primer. Hopefully you guys are prepared. You know something about hockey. That was our goal, right?
But a Canada Puck podcast would not be a Canada Puck podcast without our Babe of the Week. I have not actually. Normally, I like to dig a little deeper, but I'm picking low-hanging fruit right now. And our Babe of the Week is a French lady by the name of Mathilde Tanto, and that is MATHILDETANTOT. This is the type of lady where, you know, you build a castle around her, and then you dig a big moat, so you don't get any of those, you know, pesky dragons or frisky senators trying to steal her.
Yeah, you don't want that. Very nice. No. Well done. Well done. Like, look, we had a little Belle Provence at the end, and double dose. You had the Captain and Le Captain.
Mathilde Tanot. She is our Babe of the Week. Schwing.
Awesome. So with that, wraps up our show. We'll be hitting back. We'll actually have actual games to talk about next week. Is Puck Drop Wednesday?
Puck Drop's Wednesday.
Sweet. It's a good name. It's good night. So if I flip quickly through the schedule, oh man, my screen's just not big enough. Scores. Show me Wednesday. 13th. Oh, we get La Belle Provence, Leafs, Canucks, Oilers later in the night. Good times.
It is going to be a good time. I can't wait to get through the rest of the season with you, Mick, and then leave people on yet another cliffhanger where they have absolutely no idea how the season concluded without our perspectives.
No, and like we should do like a recap, and like this year we should like write a list down of stuff to talk about. So we could be like, I don't know what happened last year, but like maybe next year we will know. Seems like a lot of work, to be honest with you.
It does seem. It's like that proactive piece that I'm probably missing.
Yeah.
But anyways.
All right. Sweet. Really disappointed I don't have any Seattle Kraken cards, to be perfectly honest with you. So, oh well.
We'll get there.
Yeah, maybe I'll check. Maybe there's a drop later I can get in on. So anyways, until then, see you guys next week.
Party on, Mick.
Party on, Grant.
Talk to you guys later.
Bye.